world hunger, climate change, droughts, superbacteria, obesity, and more. Those all might sound like separate topics, but did you know that all of them are intertwined by one of the single most insidious threats to our planet and health ever? That threat is factory farming. My topic today is on factory farming, a system of farming where animals are extremely overcrowded and their lives are set up on a conveyor belt for profit, like they were automobile parts, not living creatures. Factory farming is causing human health problems and is rapidly accelerating climate change. We should switch to an alternative diet or food systems instead. I'm knowledgeable on this topic because I have been on a plant-based diet for many years and have recently got into growing my own food. The very stake of your planet and your body is on the line. First, I'll explain to you how factory farming is destroying the planet and our health. Then I will propose 2 solutions for how to help curb the problem. Lastly, I will explore the 2 potential outcomes for what the world will look like based on what path we go down. So first, let me explain to you factory farming's effects on the world and our health. The ozone is what protects the Earth from the dangers of climate change and is being rapidly depleted by emissions. The media likes to point the finger at cars, trains, and airplanes, but it is actually factory farming that is primarily responsible. We raise cows to supply dairy and beef, and cows burp. This burp releases high levels of a gas called methane. Methane is very potent for the ozone, so much that 37% of methane CH4 emissions come from factory farming, which has more than 20 times the global warming potential of CO2. It also doesn't just stop with there. It also is causing water loss and deforestation. Factory farming's impact on the world is one of the primary causes for water waste and forest deforestation. Do you know how much water it takes to produce beef or just a single hamburger? Well, farmsanctuary.org answers this question by saying, between watering the crops that farm animals eat, providing drinking water for the billions of animals each year, and cleaning away the filth in factory farms, transportations, trucks, slaughterhouses, the animal agriculture industry has a huge impact on the water supply. Producing 1 single pound of beef takes an estimated 1,581 gallons of water. These animals don't just need water, they need land to graze and food to eat. Instead of giving the food we grow to the hungry, we give it to the animals that we want to eat. As Joyce Da Silva writes in her paper, Factory Farming and Developing Countries, demand for animal products stimulate demand for animal feed crops, and it leads to intensive land use. Forests are cut down for logging, for slash and burn agriculture, and for cattle ranches, but also for soya monocultures. In Brazil, the pressure to grow more soya has taken up more land, which pushes cattle ranching yet further into the forest areas. Ironically, although Brazil is one of the world's largest feed exporters, 1/5 of its population, that's about 32 million, go hungry. Now that I've explained to you the effects on the world, let me tell you the effects on your own health. Because disease-causing organisms like salmonella are so prevalent, farmers are forced to overuse tons of antibiotics on the animals that they raise. This is a serious problem because bacteria, like all organisms, adapt and evolve over time. Dr. Tim O'Brien explores this in his paper, Factory Farming and Human Health. Eventually, as an antibiotic is used more and more, the population of the bacteria which is susceptible to an antibiotic will gradually be released by a population of bacteria which the antibiotic cannot kill. This is why the use of antibiotics in human medicine is so severely limited. The other thing is, while meat can be a good source of protein, there are many other sources of protein for humans and many health risks associated with eating meat. Some effects of eating meat and dairy are explored by Beatrice Conrad on a review of epidemiological studies that long-term consumption of increasingly amounts of red meat, and particularly of processed meat, is associated with an increased risk of total mortality, cardiovascular disease, cancer, and type 2 diabetes in both men and women. Eating large amounts of meat are bad for the environment, they put you at risk for worse superbacterias, and they can lead to cancer. So, here are two solutions to help curb the problem. One solution would be switching to a plant-based diet, also known as veganism. What a plant-based diet is a diet that does not consume any product that comes from an animal. So, no meat and no dairy. This would eliminate the need for factory farming and be much healthier for the earth and for humans. It's also way easier to do now than it ever was before, especially when I started. Vegan substitutes for everything exist, even now at fast food restaurants. The Beyond Taco and Beyond Burger is everywhere. It's also going to be healthier for the environment if we all went vegan. The world's fast food emissions would drop by 70% by 2050, according to a recent report on food and climate in the journal Proceeding of National Academy of Science. Going vegan would help your health as well in many ways, such as your gut microbiome will improve with less antibiotics in your system. Your skin improves as dairy is linked to acne, and hormones meant to get a baby cow the size of a full-grown cow aren't pumped into you. And it's also better for the environment. If going fully plant-based, like fully vegan, is too drastic, another solution would be severely limiting our intake of meat and dairy and drastically increasing farming our own foods, either at home in your backyard or in your local community. Growing our own food has many benefits. It helps heal the earth by increasing the diversity of plants, so that stops that monoculture crops that we were talking about. The effects on your health would be better health, just in all aspects, better skin from more organic fruits and veggies. Gardening also increases your psychological well-being. It's good exercise, and if you do it in your local community, increases a sense of community. It would also end starvation and world hunger and be a much better use for our land. Lastly, now that I've given you two solutions, let's look at what the two worlds could look like that we could live in based on which path we choose. If we follow what I've suggested, we could live in a healthy paradise on Earth. Animals could be free to not be slaughtered and ripped away from their mothers. Our ozone could heal and undo the effects of global warming. And we could be healthy mentally and physically. We could be what we were supposed to be and be the stewards of planet Earth, all while having flawless skin. Unfortunately, if we don't follow along the path that we're on now, we'll continue to grow fatter, sicker, keep starving, keep dying of thirst. There'll be water wars, super bacteria. We'll have a world on fire from the effects of climate change, all while having terrible skin. As Bill Luters writes in his letter about climate change, in truth, we are long past the point where we can effectively minimize and mitigate the impacts of climate change within the crumpled confines of our present-day politics. Forcing progress on this issue will require an active and engaged citizenry. It will take sacrifice and vision and science, and it will change the world, quite possibly for the better. So, in conclusion, we are barreling down quickly to a crossroads, and if we do not make a change soon, it'll be too late. Factory farming is destroying the planet and ruining your health. We should switch to a plant-based society or move away from industrial factory farming to a culture who grows our own food with smaller local community farms. First, I explained to you what factory farming is and the effects it has on both our planet and our body. Then I presented you with two options, either by switching to a plant-based diet or by growing our own food. Lastly, I let you glimpse into the future about the paradise utopia on Earth you could live in with healthy, flawless skin, or the hell on earth burned post-apocalyptic Mad Max era world we could live in, filled with obesity, cancer, if humans still exist at all. So, I'm asking you to make the choice for the baby animals make the choice for the only planet you have, the only body you have, or even to make the choice to have flawless skin, whatever the reason, the time to make the choice is now.